Welcome to the OpenBlender demo. The objective is to start off with a weekly sales data frame and enrich it with external features. First, we will blend numerical features such as the gold price and oil price, the Dow Jones Index and the US federal workdays. Then we will create and blend a COVID-19 news numerical feature. Finally, we'll create and blend thousands of vectorized social media posts. Let's import this Walmart weekly sales data set, where all we have is the date and the simulated weekly sales, which is our target variable. Let's switch to OpenBlender and go to the API documentation to follow a step-by-step example. In order to blend by time, we need to convert our date format to the Unix timestamp. I'll just copy the code from the example and change the parameters. The date format and time zone must match our dataset's own format. Now that we have the timestamp, we can search for time-overlapped datasets. I'll just copy the code again from the example, and I'll change the search term to gold to search for overlapping gold datasets. So now we've got some matches. Let's pick this daily gold price dataset which intersects 100% with hours and go to the OpenBlender dashboard with its URL. The only thing we need is to pick the columns we want to blend with hours and copy their blend code. Now let's go back to the guide. We can blend by A, aggregating data in time intervals, where we would get the count and the average or sum of the values for each row of the new dataset, or B, by closest observation, which would only give us the closest value in terms of time to each of our rows. Let's get the average price for the last 24 hours. The same as in the example in the documentation, which you can see in the code's interval size. What we'll get is the aggregate average for the prior 24 hours for each of our observations. We can see here that we have our original data frame but with two new gold features, the average price and the count of observations on each time interval. Now let's enrich our data frame by blending the Dow Jones Index, an oil price and the US federal workdays, all in the same way we just blended the gold data. Now we have an extended data frame with 11 columns. Now let's generate a useful feature from news data, such as COVID-19 related news for the last 24 hours. For this, let's use the text from the CNN breaking news dataset and filter COVID-19 related news. We need to create a text filter and add the words or sequential groups of words, which we refer to as n-grams. We want it to match. Now let's get the blend source from the text column, as before, and add the filter text to it. And we just paste the exact same code to blend, with the only difference being that the output will be a list. Now we have two new columns, one being a count for the COVID term in each time interval and the other a list for all the news reports mentioning COVID. We can use the list to iterate and perform further analysis, and we can use the count as a numerical feature. Let's move on to converting the text from each Walmart tweet to numerical features and blend all the resulting n-grams at once. For this, we need to create a text vectorizer and select the Walmart Twitter dataset. We only want the text feature as input. Let's leave the default settings. Now we have a vectorizer for this dataset and we can use it as a source for our blend. We need the blend source from the vectorizer and we can use the exact same code as for the previous blends. Finally, we have our two initial columns for the weekly sales and date, which remain intact, plus over 3,000 new features for a machine learning pipeline. Thank you for watching our demo.